Good morning, boys and girls. Steve here at the Gelatin Hop Shop. One of the questions we get all the time is, my beer's not quite clear. What can I do to make it more clear? Well, today we're going to demonstrate a simple solution to help your beer clarify. It does help if you have a refrigerator, so you can do what's called a cold crash. As you can see on my Pilsner, I've got a bunch of sediment already down on the bottom. If there's too much sediment, you don't want to do this. You want to rack it off one more time, because the trick is not to have too much sediment, otherwise the beer just won't clarify. We're going to be stirring it up and in. The simple way to do it is gelatin findings. This little thing here, relatively inexpensive. You only need 1 teaspoon for each of the batches that you do of a 5-gallon batch or so. Take 1/3 cup of water, and what you need to do is get this into a microwave safe dish so that you can heat it up. The target temperature is about 155 degrees. For me, that takes about a minute in my microwave, because remember, this is finished. Anything that touches this beer at this point should be sanitized. Otherwise, you can risk ruining your batch. So if you're uncomfortable, a beginner brewer, you're a little nervous, you don't want to ruin the batch, don't worry about it. Cloudy beer is not the end of the world. But once you get comfortable with all of these things, feel free to do this to help in clarifying the beer a little more quickly than waiting and waiting and waiting. So once you have the gelatin mixed up, it'll take a little bit to dissolve, and then once it's in there, it's about ready to go. So we're just going to go ahead and pop the top. When you stir this in, you want to make sure that you don't agitate too much. The object is not to put more air back into the beer, but just make sure that you get all of the gelatin around. Helps to have a handy-dandy spray bottle full of sanitizer, because again, the beer is finished, and I don't want to contaminate my beer at all. So this has been microwaved, so the water has been kind of sanitized at 155 or so degrees. Pour your gelatin in to the cold beer and gently mix it around. Just going to go around in a circle. You'll see I'm stirring up all the stuff on the bottom. That's fine. It'll eventually all fall right back in. And as you can see, the beer is relatively clear as it is. It helps if you use some Irish moss or a wolf flock tablet. Just being in the cold fridge will help a lot of that sediment fall out. And then you stir this up. When you're done, and you're pretty sure you've got a good mixture, and everything is mixed in really well with the gelatin, all of it will fall to the bottom. It'll pull out a lot more of that yeast that's in there, and then you'll have almost a perfectly crystal clear beer, and you can fool your friends. Tell them it's commercial. Put it in one of those fancy bottles that you didn't take the label off of. So that's about it. That's all it takes. Make sure you put your airlock back in. Make sure you have some sanitizer in your airlock. Put it back in the fridge. Wait a couple days. Rack it into your keg or your bottling bucket, and you will have delicious and clear beer. That's it for now. If you have any questions, give us a call. The Gelatin Hop Shop.